Welcome to day 5. Hope. The next day was going to be big. We had spent 4 uneventful days with our son, and we were getting nowhere. Our times had increased to 2 to 3 hours. We would go there and be at the breakfast table when he got up. The idea was so he would get used to us being there. In the morning when he woke, we would spend a couple of hours with him and then return later so we could witness his bedroom routine. This should be fun 2 hours of us in the morning and 1 in the evening. What snidey comments, digs or put downs would we get today? On the plus side, our social worker was coming, and that was a relief. Strangely, people act differently when social workers are around. Our social worker was constantly calling us, talking to us. She was becoming more of a friend than a social service worker. But this is what happens. These individuals know your deepest secrets. They are with you from the beginning. Yes, they are professional, but they are human. They want what is best for the child and have the responsibility of keeping you sane as well throughout your journey. Our social worker was a fountain of knowledge, a shoulder to cry on and a shield to hide behind. We knew our back was covered, and in some way we believed that she was the one that kept this dream alive. That and the sheer determination from my wife. We arrived at the house around 6:20 a.m. The streets were quiet and the street lamps produced an eerie shadow across the road, the kind you only see in a Jack the Ripper movie. This didn't lighten the move. We had nervous grins, and my wife looked drained of any life. Do we have to do this? Should we do this? Should we just give some lame excuse and pull out? No. That was not an option. This was that little boy's last chance due to his age. If we pulled out now, he would have a life in a care home. Or home to home in a foster care if he's lucky. And then what? What happens to us? Would we be blacklisted from adopting another child? This was our future as much as it is. It won't beat us. We entered the house to a welcome. He wasn't up yet. He wakes at 7 a.m. That's not bad. We thought a child that goes to bed at 7 p.m. and sleeps till 7 a.m. is pretty damn good. He got up with a thud and speed like Speedy Gonzales. Because he couldn't talk fully yet due to his trauma, he could still make noises. He was surprised to see us, and I'm sure he cracked a smile, but that might have been just because he was getting food. These were the little things we were finding out about our son as the days went by. Our son craved food like a guinea pig. He stored it up in his mouth and cheeks because he never knew when his next meal would come from. His short upbringing was something out of a horror story. At the age of 2 onwards, he had to bring himself up, wash, fend and feed himself. To give you a small idea of this little boy, he was never nurtured, just stuck in a corner, while parties and drugs and sexual parties occurred. He looked after 4 or 5 of the siblings, some smaller than him, protecting them from the evil predators that lurked in every room, some even his own family members. He found scraps of food so they could eat. He was tied to the washing pole and made to eat out of a dog's bowl. His bed had no sheets, and his curtains were blankets hung up by a piece of string. He was subjected to sexual activity and witnessed many fights, arguments and parties. Toys and gifts were very rare, and whatever he got was sold for drugs the next day. But despite all this, despite what was going on and more, he still had a smile, because deep down inside was a little boy shouting to come out, shouting to be hugged, kissed, loved, and we were going to be the ones to do it. My wife had found instant love with that little urchin, but could not get close to him due to others interfering. Well, no more. we would push as hard as we were being pushed. I could see that in her face, a new determination, a new look that said, back off, he's our child, and he's not going to be ignored or hurt no more. It was the kind of look that a mother gives a newborn baby the first time she holds it in your arms. You are my world, my everything, and I promise no one or no thing will ever hurt you as long as there is breath in my body. Yes, he may not have been our biological son. Yes, she didn't give birth to him. But from that moment on, he was, and she did. Breakfast was strange. We were used to cereal and toast, maybe eggs or maybe the occasional fry-up. He was given chocolate spread on toast. Strange, but maybe this was a treat. It might be because we were there. Nevertheless, we said nothing and got about watching him. He finished his brekkie and went upstairs to brush his teeth. This was a must due to the missing front ones. He tugged at my wife, egging her to come up and see his room. What an honour. He was interacting with my wife. She was beaming from ear to ear. Finally, he knew we existed. She proceeded to go upstairs, where he took her to see his room. It was nothing flash, the kind of room a foster carer should have, as kids come and go, a few books, a few teddies. Strangely enough, no toys. My wife asked where his toys were. He then dragged her over to his little wardrobe, and inside there, buried all the way underneath a mountain of clothes, was his toys, hidden away so nobody could sell them. My wife cried. When asked, she said, "Happy tears, because you took us to see your room." He smiled and asked her to help him brush his teeth. A breakthrough, a real breakthrough. And best of all, foster carer was downstairs, so we had time. This is how it should be. This is how it needed to be. We went back downstairs, and I played on the carpet with his cars and let him jump all over me while my wife asked questions about his family and what they knew. Our 2 hours were up, and it was time to leave. We said our goodbyes with a little hug and said we'd be back later before bed. If this was all right with him. It was joy. He definitely wanted us there. We left and got into our car, drove off. My wife had changed. Suddenly there was a glimmer of that feisty redhead I had married. Back, a new determination. We discussed our new next move, and it was simple. Keep him away from distractions and keep him with our full attention. If I was playing, my wife was talking. If she was playing, I was talking. We were a team, and this was our play. We returned at 6 p.m. and met our social worker, our shield. This was great. She would talk and distract while we got precious minutes. We witnessed a child bouncing. Foster carer never knew why he was bouncing. The fact that he'd been given an Easter egg, not a little one like the $1.99 ones, but a 6 to 7 pound one to eat just before going to bed. This did not impress our social worker. Anyway, my wife dragged him away and went upstairs, brushed his teeth and placed on his pyjamas. They both came downstairs and we sat and watched the night garden, which was his little thing. Did we know from that day on the Ninky Nonk, Iggle Piggle, would be embedded in our brains forever? It worked though. As soon as the night garden started to sing, he was asleep. He trusted my wife enough to tuck him in, and we were on our way again. It was important that at that stage we would tell him we'd see him in the morning. Something for him to dream about, and maybe, just maybe, push away some of them nightmares. We left that night with a sense of purpose, a renewed strength within. We had our usual pint and food, locked up, and went to bed. I could hear no tears. Our bed was warm. I reached over for a kiss and got one. There she was. There's my wife, I thought. We were back. Bigger, stronger than ever. Good night, I said. Love you, she replied. I smiled and fell asleep. Today was a good day. Thank you for listening. Join us again for our next installment. I'll see you soon.